Okay, hello everyone, and if you're new to my channel, my name is Kyla. This here is my lovely Savannah monitor. This is Houdini, and yes, today I'm going to be doing what I feel like is going to be a decently controversial video, but I'm going to be talking about if I think Savannah monitors make a good pet. And before I start this video and give my opinion, I just want to state that this is my opinion. This is solely my opinion, and this is just from my experience having a Savannah monitor. Houdini is, I think, almost 5 years old at this point, and I've had her since she was just a little baby hatchling. And yeah, I'm just gonna basically give my opinion. It's my opinion alone, based on my experiences and based on research that I've done. And so, yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, I'm gonna start with just some basic information about Savannah monitors themselves. And they are native to Africa, and so because of that, they do require very hot and dry environments. Prefer to have a very high basking temperature. And now there are some keepers that, and with myself included, that do think humidity is also important. So they can be kind of a tricky species to deal with in captivity because people tend to get their husbandry wrong. But basically, one of the main things that's important for them is high temperatures and a good diet. Where are you going? Okay, I have a whole little list here on my phone of things that I want to make sure I touch on. I'm basically going to do this in a pros and cons type way, just so that it's split up. And then at the end of the video, I'm kind of going to show you a little bit of Houdini's cage and talk a little bit about what I do personally for Houdini. But first, I just kind of want to start off with some pros and cons in my opinion. Like I said, I've been keeping Houdini since she was a hatchling. I've had her entire life. Since she arrived in Canada, I've had her. So I want to kind of give my pros and cons over that amount of time having her. So the first pro that I have here is that, as you can see, they can be tamed. Now, this took a very long time, and this is not something that will work for every monitor or will happen with your monitor, and it's definitely not something that was easy to do. So, she's gonna climb down my back. So the good thing about Savannah monitors is that they generally are one of the more docile monitors, in the sense that they tend to be tameable. And this isn't for all Savannah monitors, so before people are like, oh, I have a Savannah monitor and it's really mean. Yes, that does happen. I've definitely seen it. Where Savannah monitors stay mean. It doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how much you handle them, it doesn't matter, they're mean. But Houdini did start out that way. I'm gonna try to find some clips of her as a little teeny tiny baby. She was mean. She hissed. She wouldn't let me pick her up. She would hide for days on end, to the point where I didn't even know if she had managed to escape. And yeah, so they can be mean, but with a lot of work, like what I've done, they can become like this, where she just kind of wants to use me as a jungle gym. She's like wrapped herself around me, and she's pretty chill. Okay, so next thing up is their price. And I think when I got Houdini, I feel like I paid like 80 bucks for her. I didn't pay a lot at all, and that's Canadian dollars, so if you're American, you're gonna pay even less in American dollars, and they're very inexpensive. Now, this can be seen as a pro and a con, because they're a very inexpensive monitor and they get big, which we'll talk about later. And a lot of people think, oh, they're cheaper than bearded dragons, so that must mean they're easier than bearded dragons, and they buy them. So it's good that they're cheaper, because I mean, it was easy for me to get her as a responsible keeper, but it's also a con in the sense that she's like literally in my hair, guys. But it's also a con in the sense that people that really can't take care of them do also easily get them. So that's kind of a pro and a con, but I kind of wanted to throw it in there. So the next thing I have for pros is that they're big, but they're not too big. There are a ton of monitors that get a lot bigger than Savannah monitors, but they're an impressive size animal. I would say Houdini right now, you can see her, she's about 2.5 feet, and she's about 4 to 5 years old. So she is a pretty good size monitor. She's a good size Savannah monitor, but she's not too big that I can't handle her myself. There's a lot of monitors out there that are unhandleable by yourself, as me being a kind of a smaller stature person, and there's a lot of monitors that are just not really keepable for the average person. And I mean, Savannah monitors aren't necessarily keepable for the average person either, but they're more keepable, I would say. And they're not too big. She's still an impressive monitor. She is actually bigger than my dog, so fun fact. But she's not too big that she's unmanageable. She's still manageable for me, and she's still an animal that I can easily maintain. So the next thing I have for pros is that they have a ton of personality. As you can see from Houdini, she is just full of personality. She's excited when I come into the reptile room in the morning, when I'm coming in to do my daily chores, when I'm coming in to feed other animals, when I'm not even in here to do anything with her. She's at the door of her cage. She wants to come out. She wants to interact with me. She watches me. She loves to watch the dogs. So there's lots of personality, and you can just see their brain ticking. That's what I love about monitors in general, is that you can see how intelligent they are. And she's really, really smart. So that's one thing that I absolutely love about her, is that she's smart, she's full of personality. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about some cons, and these cons are basically, they're not trying to be negative, they're just things that I think people, less of a con and more of something that I think people need to be aware of before they get a Savannah monitor. And before they bring a large animal into their home. I think they're just things that they need to keep in mind. So it's less of something that I don't like and more of something I just want people to be more aware of. So the first thing is that the average Savannah monitor is going to need a 6 foot to 8 foot plus cage. So when they're full grown, they're going to need a big amount of space. When I first brought Houdini home, she was in a 40-gallon tank, and that lasted her less than a year before I built her cage that she's in now. And at some point when I do get my own place, I probably will build her an even bigger cage than what she has now. So basically they need a lot of space, and this is just something that I think a lot of people don't think about. They think, oh, they'll be fine in this 40-gallon that I have. And there's a common misconception that if you put an animal in a small space, it just will grow to the amount of space it has. And that's a complete misconception. Savannah monitors are big, they will keep getting big, and they will outgrow your small cage. So a huge thing that I definitely want to stress is that they need a lot of space, and they need a lot of digging opportunities, they need climbing opportunities. I'll show you after, but I actually have a basking ramp in Houdini's cage that she can walk up and bask, so that her basking platform is as close to the lights as possible without burning her. There's just so many things that they need in a cage that a lot of people can't provide. And I'm still working on my cage. My cage is nowhere near perfect, but you have to be willing to like make adjustments, and each Savannah monitor is going to be different in terms of temperament and things like that. So you have to keep cage size in mind. Okay, so the next thing is basking temperature. Savannah monitors need a very, 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 very high basking temperature. Generally be between 110 to 130 degrees Fahrenheit on their basking temperature. Now their whole cage shouldn't be that temperature. The ambient can be kind of in the 90s on the hot side and in the 80s on the cool side. So the whole cage should be 110 degrees. That would just cook your lizard. But they need to have a basking area that is super hot, and that is something that a lot of people don't understand as well. So the next thing is that they eat a lot. I would say as babies specifically, they eat a lot more, and they do need a lot of different things to eat. As babies, they're going to eat, I think I fed Houdini probably like 3 to 5 times a week, smaller meals. And then as adults, you're gonna wanna feed them. Some people recommend only feeding them once a week. Houdini just won't stand for that. She will lose her mind if you only feed her once a week. So I tend to break Houdini's meals into smaller portions and then feed her more often. But they do need to eat a lot of variety. I feed Houdini insects, I feed Houdini whole prey like rodents, quails, things like that, all frozen thawed of course. She can also eat like organ meat and things like that, and then I also feed her the occasional quail eggs and high quality cat or dog food as long as it's pure meat. So yeah, there's a lot of food requirements that they have. I wouldn't say they're difficult, but you need to make sure that you're able to spend the time with feeding them and training them and getting them to eat. Next up is that they can be aggressive. So I talked earlier in the pro side of the video that I actually do have a very tame Savannah monitor. Like you can see, like she just wants to sit with me. She loves to be out, she loves to walk around, she loves to take baths, she loves all of it. You can see she's just very chill for the most part, especially when she knows there's no food. But you can get the Savannah monitor occasionally that cannot be tamed. And that could be for various reasons. A lot of times it's because they just weren't treated well. If they come from a previous home, it can be because they weren't treated well or they were never handled or whatever, and they've got in their minds that humans are negative to them. Humans don't bring anything to their lives, so they're negative. They have had just negative experiences. So it can be very hard to tame Savannah monitors if that is your situation with yours. I was lucky, I raised her from a baby. She's only known me. I've only ever cared for her. She's never had another caretaker, so she trusts me because I've grown her into this. But if you get an adult Savannah monitor or a Savannah monitor that's had a previous home, that can be harder. My number one tips is to getting a tame Savannah monitor is making sure that you're spending time with them once. So number one, it doesn't mean opening their cage and trying to mess with them. Be in the same room as them, talk around them, interact with them in ways outside of opening their cage and trying to touch them. So what I used to do all the time is I would just come in the reptile room and I would just work with other animals. And she would see me and she'd put her little face to the door of the cage. She'd see me doing that, and then I might offer her food or something like that using tongs. She would take it from me, and eventually she realized that when I come into the reptile room, I'm bringing food or I'm bringing something in that benefits her. And eventually she would start walking up the cage door, and I wouldn't grab her out of the cage. I would just kind of wait for her to voluntarily want to walk out of the cage. And I always show her I don't have food by petting her back. You don't want to go above them. I always just kind of gently bring my hand in, because you don't want to act like you're a bird trying to grab them. And so gently bring my hand in, and eventually I was able to pick her up. And now she does this, and she's very calm. She still has her sporadic moments, which you'll see. Time to time she'll flail her tail and freak out. But a lot of that comes from when she doesn't feel like she's secure. So that's why I tend to just put her on my shoulder like this. She'll sit and she's comfortable. But I definitely wouldn't recommend this if you don't know your Savannah monitor well. This is not a position that is safe if you don't know your animal well. She could tail whip me. She could bite my hands. She could bite my clothing, which is again why I'm wearing a long sleeved shirt, because their nails are long. I don't know. It's going to be kind of difficult for me to show you because she's holding on to me. But their nails are long and they're sharp, and I have scratches all over myself from her. So make sure that you're wearing long clothes if you're gonna try something like this. But like I said, make sure you know the animal you're dealing with before you do this, because this is not necessarily a safe thing if you don't. The last major thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that Savannah monitors are commonly wild caught. And this is because there's not a lot of Savannah monitors bred in captivity. A lot of people don't keep them correctly and therefore don't breed them correctly. So a lot of time, hi, should we come up and say hi? You gonna come say hi? A lot of time they will die in the first couple of years of someone having them, so they never reach sexual maturity, and therefore they don't breed in captivity. I think there have been captive bred Savannah monitors, of course, but they're commonly wild caught and then imported into whatever country you're in and then put into the pet trade. So if that's something you're uncomfortable with, then Savannah monitors will not be for you unless you really hunt down and are able to find a captive bred one. But I mean, I don't necessarily agree with wild caught animals. I think that especially the quantity. Oh, she's got my necklace. Thank you. Where's she going? Where are you going? Did you say hi? What do you think? She's literally hanging off my back. What are you doing? Okay, that's what you want to do. We'll do this. But yeah, so basically Savannah monitors are commonly wild caught. It's not something that I would fully agree with, and I think now that I have more information and I've educated myself more, I probably won't be getting a ton of wild caught animals in the future. I think that they're good in situations like this where I'm able to help educate people and help learn about this animal and help, you know, begin to try to understand a little bit about them. But I don't like the idea that they're sold to just anybody, and a lot of times they do die because people don't know how to care for them. So it's kind of a mixed bag of feelings there. I think that if people do their research and know what they're getting in for, I do think they can make good pets, but yeah. Okay, so now to kind of get into a little bit more about this specific Savannah monitor. This is Houdini. I commonly call her Deanie, and she is a Savannah monitor that I got at the reptile store that I worked at when I was 17 to 19, I think, and I've had her since she was a baby, and I actually kind of picked her right when they came in off the plane. So I've had her for a long time. I'm going to try to insert some baby pictures of her so you guys can see how little she was when I first got her, because she was a little shrimp. And I know that she's a female because she actually did lay some infertile eggs when she reached sexual maturity, and so I know she's a girl for sure. So currently Houdini is in a 6 foot long by 3 foot tall cage, and generally the rule of thumb that a lot of people like to go by is that the cage be at least double the length of your Savannah monitor at minimum. And the cage right now is about 3 times as long as her. She's about 2 feet long, so it works out quite nice for her. But like I said, if she grows much more, I will have to get a bigger cage for her. But she's in a custom built cage that I built for her with a bunch of friends when I was a teenager, and it works pretty well. The one thing I would say that I want to change is that I want to change the front to being glass or PVC, not PVC, oh my gosh, glass or plexiglass, just because she can climb the front of it right now, because it's kind of it's like a screen material, so she can climb the front of it. Not that it really matters, it's heavy duty screen, she's not going anywhere, and the humidity is fine because the rest of the cage is covered. There's no screen lid or anything like that. It's obviously melamine, so there's no screen lid. But yeah, I definitely want to do that. Sorry, I'm having to stand weird because she's on my back, but I don't want her to fall off my back. Here, can we sit up a little bit? Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, so her cage is really big. It's really nice. I did build a ramp for her so she can climb up to the basking spot, because I found that basically what she would do, because I used to just have a bunch of sticks and stuff, she would just knock them over and then her basking spot would not be tall enough. So I built a ramp. It's got faux grass on it, which she loves because she loves to rub her face in it and everything. And then basically she's got 2 basking bulbs up there. So another thing that's important for Savannah monitors is UV, so she has a UV bulb over her water dish as well, so that she gets UV no matter where she is in the cage. Another thing that's important is that they're going to need a full-size water bowl and one that they can fit in. So she has that, but then I also do take her out and give her bath. So in my normal bathtub is actually fill it up with water that's just above her height, so she can still touch the ground, so she's not struggling, and it's just a little bit warmer than lukewarm water, and then she can swim around in there until she tells me she's done, which is basically when she just starts thrashing around. Generally she really enjoys it, and she just kind of wants to sit in there and kind of splash around. I'll put some food in there and she'll chase it around. So I think it's really beneficial to do that, so I love doing that with her. And then we just kind of chill. I think she's really grown a ton, in the sense that, not necessarily in size, because she has grown in size, but I mean she's just grown in personality. She's a lot more comfortable with me now, and she's just a good little monitor. She's not little at all, but she's just a good girl. Okay, so I put Houdini back for this part of the video because she decided she was done. So I put her back, and I'm here just to kind of talk a little bit about what I said, and I just want to make it super clear that this was not a care video. This is not an all-inclusive do everything I say video. I'm not a professional, I'm not a vet. This is just my opinion based on my experience with my Savannah monitor and the research that I've done about Savannah monitors. So do not take this as a care video. I don't think I'll ever do a care video about Savannah monitors if I'm being honest, just because there is so much that goes into caring for Savannah monitor that I didn't even mention here. I didn't talk about daily care, I didn't talk about cleaning, I didn't talk about anything like that. So make sure that if you are seriously interested in getting a Savannah monitor and you are prepared, that you do a ton of research. Before I got Houdini, I spent weeks, months looking them up, figuring out how I would build a cage, figuring out where I was going to keep her, and reading all kinds of different sources to make sure that I actually knew what I was in for. Because I think that's something that a lot of people don't know. They just see this little lizard, they buy it, and then it grows, and then they don't know what to do with it. So it ends up either dying, or it ends up being given away, or ends up in like a rescue or something, which none of those are good options. So make sure you know what you're in for, and that's like my biggest tip overall. But I definitely don't want to discourage people from getting Savannah monitors, because I would say Houdini's in my top like favorite pets. Like I don't have a specific favorite pet, but the one I love to spend time with the most and the one that loves to spend time out of her cage is definitely Houdini. She's definitely intelligent, and she's just been such a cool animal to learn from. So I would definitely say she's one of my favorites, but they're definitely not for everybody. That is 100% the truth. Savannah monitors are not for everybody, and just because she makes a good pet for me does not mean she'll make a good pet for somebody else. So I'm gonna end this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing Houdini, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit more about her and her kind of care. But I'm gonna say this one final time, this was not a care guide, so do not jump down my throat for things I didn't mention. I tried to just hit the main points and the main difficulties and the main positives that I've learned. So this is not a care guide. Just really gotta put that out there. But anyway guys, if you have anything in specific that you want to see, whether it be about Houdini or whether it be about any of my other animals, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Follow me on Instagram, it'll be on the screen here, and definitely subscribe and comment down below, like I said, what you want to see. Give this video a like, do all the things. It helps me, supports my channel, and I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.